Fellas, AC here. Welcome to another video. Now recently, last video, when I was reviewing Boucheron pour Homme, one thing happened which really saddened me. The perfumer, Raymond Chalien. I was trying to find an image of him so that I could showcase him on the video. And I couldn't find one decent image of Raymond Chalien. And that sparked a thought, an emotion in me. I was really saddened by it because looking at the work that he's done some outstanding fragrances, amazing fragrances. And compare it to what we have today, 3-note fragrances, mostly chemical, mostly synthetic fragrances, and their perfumers are all over the web. And you think to yourself, as consumers, as connoisseurs of art, perfumeries and art, where are we headed? If we can't reward people, if we can't remember, forget rewarding, if we can't even remember people who have done outstanding work, then where are we heading? Are we just going to go down the blind alley, the dark alley of mediocrity? Because that's where perfumery is headed, Extremely mediocre fragrances are being produced. Truckloads. Every year you have at least 30 to 40 mainstream houses releasing completely mediocre fragrances. And we celebrate them. And I try not to, but it's hard when you're just getting all sorts of mediocre fragrances. It's just hard to say, okay, this is bad, this is bad. How many times are you going to say that? And that I accept that. But there should also be a little bit of a space for real maestros who have created amazing fragrances in the past, whose work is not only being forgotten, they themselves are being forgotten. And that's why I wanted to create this video. That's one aim, is to remember really awesome fragrances, great perfumers and their work and why it's great. And number two, like always, if you know which ones are the good ones from a trusted source, and many of you trust me, then you will at least have those fragrances in your to-buy list or in your wish list. I don't want you to go and buy them at whatever cost, but at least it's in your wish list, it's in your mind that you will look out for such fragrances. Those are the two objectives of this video. So let's start. There are 10 fragrances in this video, and I'll do many more. I'll probably do 3 more. So this is part 1, and I have concentrated on fragrances that I've already reviewed. So every single fragrance in this video has been reviewed. So let's start. And another thing, most of the fragrances in this video are more than 15 notes, more than 20 notes in most cases. Okay, so you're going to experience, if you already haven't, what real perfumery was like. If you ever smell any of these, and I don't want to say this in a demeaning way, I'm sure all of you who are watching this video actually know what vintage fragrances bring to the table. That's why you're watching this video. But if you haven't, this is the video, and then you can take it from there. Okay? So, number 1 on this list is a fragrance that I reviewed very early on. And when I reviewed it, it only cost £15 for me to get it. And then it was discontinued. Nowadays, you couldn't get it for less than £150. It's that expensive. But I have to include it because it's the most amazing tobacco fragrance out there. So when you have tobacco fragrances, most people use sweet tobacco, pipe tobacco. They're trying to generate pipe tobacco. This fragrance actually does the opposite. It creates a very realistic, airy, green, dry tobacco. The process of creating something out of a tobacco leaf. The fragrance is Aramis Havana. Now Havana, when I reviewed all those years ago, almost 8 years ago, I don't know why I don't wear this fragrance, because this is one of the most amazing artistic fragrances ever created. This was created in 1994, and this fragrance brings to the table an experience that is rare, because it's talking about an airy green tobacco mixed with more green notes like artemisia. It's fresh, it's airy, and then it dries down. Towards the end, it brings in notes like cinnamon and Douglas fir, which brings the fragrance into the realm of soft, fuzzy, cloudy kind of a tobacco. Very rare that you get tobacco like this. And no, there's no wonder why this sells for 150 now. And it used to be £15 for 100 ml. No wonder, because this is the most artistic fragrances I've ever smelled when it comes to tobacco. Tobacco is always sweet, thick, chewy. Not this one. This is like walking on a beautiful evening on the streets of Havana. It's just, it takes me there. Whenever I smell this fragrance, whenever I think about this fragrance, it takes me to a beautiful, beautiful street. Absolutely amazing experience of actually being in Havana. And it's an evening time scent. And this is one of those fragrances that when you apply this, it already puts you into a beautiful, relaxed state of mind. Absolutely amazing fragrance. I should be wearing this more than what I've worn. It's been in my collection for 8 years. This is the right time to wear it. Autumn is, or early autumn is the perfect time to wear it, or warm evenings. So Havana, one of my very early reviews if you wanted to brave it. Next on my list is a fragrance which made the career of a very famous perfumer. The fragrance is by Cartier, and this fragrance is Cartier Declaration, and this was created by Jean-Claude Ellena. The only thing is, after creating this fragrance, he forgot everything else. He never could delete the scent memory of this fragrance, and every other work he's done, most of the work, he's introduced those notes. So what are the notes? So this is around bitter orange and cardamom and cumin and really fine, very fine ethereal sort of iris. And it sits on a sort of a woody base, but it's also aquatic. It has got this watery quality. It is dry, woody, slightly aquatic, fresh, bitter and spicy, all at the same time. It's a fantastic safari, olfactive safari. It takes you to a place where you've not been before. It is a stunning fragrance. It is one of the most complex fragrances ever. And this is what you buy fragrances for. An amazing experience that you have not had before. This was released in 1998. It's still going strong. You can still get it. This is not discontinued. And it's probably not that inexpensive. When I got this 50 ml for 20 bucks. It's not that cheap anymore, but you can still get it, and thankfully so. And as I said, it's an absolute masterpiece. It's around citruses and spices. Next on my list is another Cartier, and I've reviewed it recently. Another masterpiece, and another masterpiece created by a master parfumer. This was released back in 1991, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And this is Pasha de Cartier, another aromatic green fougere with a twist, and that twist is mint. This mint makes the fragrance absolutely amazing, with spices and a very sour, creamy sandalwood. It's an experience. It's one of the most well-made fragrances, one of the most beautifully executed fragrances out there, a fougere. And this was created by Jacques Cavalier, no less. Jacques Cavalier is a maestro with light notes, with sort of aquatic or fresh fragrances, and that's what he's done here. But he always introduces a twist, and that twist here is mint and orange and caraway, and that marries the creamy sandalwood with the fougere structure up top. Terrific fragrance, absolute, and such high quality. I cannot praise this fragrance enough. Fragrance, widely available. Do get it while you can. Pasha de Cartier EDT. So it is a little. Some of these fragrances, most of these fragrances, could be a little bit dated to some, but who cares? You know, you are buying an art in a bottle. That's all you should care about. Next on my list is a fragrance from my house which has a knack of creating absolutely rock bottom prices fragrances, and those fragrances are magical, absolutely amazing. So this is the house Boucheron, and this fragrance is Jaipur Pour Homme Eau de Parfum. Now, Jaipur Pour Homme Eau de Parfum is the only gourmand in this list. Gourmand is the flavor of the year nowadays, right? Everybody wants to wear sticky, sickly sweet fragrances. This is the only gourmand, and it starts sweet because of heavy presence of benzoin and vanilla and cinnamon. So this is basically cinnamon, benzoin, vanilla based fragrance, but initially there's also a heavy dose of lime or lemon and cardamom as well. This fragrance, my god, this fragrance is amazing. And it was created by Anik Minado. It came out in 1998. One of the most finest, I would say, oriental gourmand. It has this oriental character. It's based on the city of Jaipur, and more specifically on the gardens of the city of Jaipur. I've done a full review. Everything is reviewed on this list, and you can check it out. And this fragrance will take you to the heart of Western India. That is Jaipur. Absolutely amazing. It's an experience. One of the most widely acclaimed fragrances or oriental fragrances ever made. Next one on the list is a fragrance that I recently reviewed, in fact the previous video, and this is Boucheron Pour-Homme. Boucheron Pour-Homme is magic. This is the review of this fragrance is what sparked this video. As I said, I was trying to look for the picture of the perfumer, Raymond Chalien, 1991 release, and I couldn't find a picture. And it really irritated me, annoyed me, in fact angered me, because you smell this fragrance and you think, wow, for this price, you know, they're so affordable, both these fragrances, and you think to yourself, the very ordinary fragrances nowadays that are being released, and people are charging £100, £150, and their perfumers are everywhere, they're like celebrities. And here is a person who's done this magic, 20-note magic, and you think to yourself, really? Why? Why can't I find a picture of Raymond Chalien? And you know what is this magic if you haven't watched my review? This fragrance starts like a 70s fraghead. So lemon, oak moss, lavender. And you think, oh, what's so special? It's just dated. But what happens in the base when it starts to dry down and it loses all its lemon and sharpness, and the oak mossy sharpness, and it brings in a smoky sandalwood with amber. And you think to yourself, is this real? Is this for real? How can incense and sandalwood work with lemon and the fougere and the flowers and the carnations? And you think to yourself, how can you really blend these notes? How do they even work? And that's where you think to yourself, wow, this is what perfumery used to be. 1991, so, you know, a while back, but this is what perfumery used to be. This is the art of perfumery. And that's, as I said, you know, that's what sparked this video. So that's Boucheron Pour-Homme. Get it while you can. Next one on my list is from another one of those superhero perfumers whose work almost is forgotten now. So if I say the name Gilles Robert, will you be able to picture him? Here's what he looks like. Okay, so this is Gilles Robert, and he has done some outstanding work, some amazing fragrances. Here is one. This is Hermès Equipage. This was released in, can't remember exactly, 1990 I believe, I could be wrong, 1970. So this is a while back. This is 1970. It has that style. Wow. So Equipage, why is this so special? So this reminds me of a movie, and that movie is Rain Man. In that movie, when Tom Cruise meets his older brother, that's when the magic happens, right? That's when he actually not only meets, but when he really warms up to him, right? In that casino situation, that's when the movie takes a twist, right? And I'm sure everybody's watched that movie. Here is a fragrance which is very similar to that plot. So the fragrance is around providing fresh masculine notes. So clary sage, lavender, lime, and all that stuff, typical masculine stuff with pine, right? And it's chugging along nicely with very, very butch carnation, masculine carnation. And suddenly it meets that older brother, and that is leather. And leather is not mentioned, but if I show you the bottle, you will see a man in a top hat trying to mount a horse, clutching on to the saddle. And that's the leather. And this fragrance then clutches on to that leather, and it creates a magical signature. And you know, when I reviewed this fragrance before that, when I was testing it, and look at the usage. When I was testing it, that's when I realized this fragrance is actually very similar to another masterpiece, and that is Guerlain Derby. And I've mentioned that. In fact, once I've reviewed Guerlain Derby, I'll do a comparison video. So this is that fragrance, you know, where pine and leather, and it's combining tons of typical sort of fougere stroke chypre type notes, you know. So it creates that amazing experience which you've not received in many fragrances. You know, pine-centric fragrance with leather, terrific mastery. So this is just a sample of what Gilbert could do. He always used these unusual combinations to create magic, right? And there are many he's done. I greatly urge you to try his work. He is a magician. So next to my list is another work from another magician. He's nothing short of a genius, a living genius. He's still alive, and he's one of my favorite perfumers. The name of the fragrance is Guerlain Abbey Rouge. This is the only fragrance that I've reviewed twice, and this came out in 1965. What else came out in 1965? Let me help you. E-Type Jaguar. Alright, so this is, if you like, the E-Type Jaguar of perfumery. This fragrance is absolutely magical. Oh, my personal favorite. Guerlain hadn't released anything for a long time, and they came up with this idea that they would want to pair something with Shalimar. So they wanted something along the lines of lemon, warmth, and they created this amazing fragrance centered around the hunting jacket worn by Chief Huntsman. And I wouldn't go into details, but I'll give you this idea that this is more of a very bright, lemony, soft, vanillic leather. All right? And there's this amazing carnation which is also there in equipage, and they couldn't be more different. So I'm talking about two leather fragrances back to back, but they couldn't be more different. And this is all weather, all season, all occasion fragrance. I can wear this in any season, any occasion, without any trepidation, any doubt, and it'll carry the day for me. It smells absolutely stunning. So as I said, this is the only fragrance in my entire videos of 470 videos that I've reviewed twice. I'll review a few more twice, but this is the first one I chose to review 2 times. Next on my list is another Guerlain. And as I said, Jean-Paul Guerlain created Abbey Rouge in 1965, and he then created his ultimate piece. This, I think, is his ultimate work in 1992, I believe. And this one is Guerlain Heritage Eau de Parfum. Now, Eau de Parfum is where Jean-Paul Guerlain decided to pay homage to all the great Guerlains. So he's got Shalimar, elements of Shalimar, Abbey Rouge, Jicky, and many others, can't remember. And he's created this amazing experience centered around patchouli, chocolatey patchouli, which is borrowed from Shalimar. And this has so many different facets. I'm still having problems after consuming that much to define heritage in simple terms. So what is it? Is it a chypre? It has chypre elements. Is it a fougere? It has fougere elements. Is it a patchouli fragrance? Absolutely. It has patchouli plays a dominant role. Is it leather? Is there leather in this? Yeah, a little hint of leather, yes. So, and to make matters even more complex, there's this beautiful note of chai, you know, buttery or dense, fragrant masala chai. And just, you know, what a fragrance this is. I've reviewed both the EDP and the EDT concentration. I've got the EDT vintage concentration. I think I've given 9 or 10 out of 10 to this one and 10 out of 10 to the EDT. So if you haven't smelled this, if you haven't tried it, and if this is not in your collection, you haven't lived. You really need this in your collection. It's a must-have. Well, all these fragrances are must-have. You cannot be without Heritage. Heritage is a blockbuster fragrance. Absolutely. You know, it's so good that Roja copied it and called it Danger. So it's that good. Next on my list is a Chanel. The only Chanel in this list. And it is almost beautifully made, elegant fragrances. Egoist Chanel came out in 1990, I believe. And this fragrance is about woods. So there are 3 woods here. Brazilian rosewood. Such a beautiful fragrance this is. Sandalwood. And cedar. Mixed with rose, a rosy, watery rose. Tobacco, leather, vanilla. But this is more about dry woods and mixed with dry coriander. It is a fabulous masculine fragrance which is considered by many as one of the greatest Chanel fragrances for men, right? And I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree. This is the most, if it's not one of the greatest, it's one of the most classiest men's fragrances out there. Full stop. Classiest, you know. Done a full review. Check it out. But this fragrance is muted. It's close to your body. It's reserved. So I would want to wear this in cold weather to interviews, to important meetings, to first dates, where I want to cast an impression, where I'm dressed up. That's the situation where I would wear this. Or you can wear this anywhere you feel comfortable. I've heard a lot of ladies like to wear this fragrance because of how romantic this fragrance is. And there's a bit of romance in this fragrance. It's really terrific for any occasion. Highly, highly recommend this. So 9 done. Last on the list. Now, all these fragrances, and that was Jacques Polge, I forgot to mention. All these fragrances are amazing, but the last one is completely special. It's in a completely different pedestal. It's a completely different animal, if you like, and it is an animal. It is an Amouage, and the fragrance is Amouage Gold, and this is fragrance number 2 in the list, whose parfumer is Gilles Robin, the person who created Equipage. Now this fragrance came out in 1983. And this, whoa. This is a beast. So when you open this, you're unleashing a beast. I gave it a 10 out of 10 and I reviewed it. It is a spectacular masculine. And this is a proper vintage French style masculine perfumery. It revolves around many notes which are common masculine notes. So musk, animalic notes. So one is civet and the other one is indolic jasmine. And that's why this fragrance is sometimes called as male version of Chanel number 5. It's not wrong, not wrong. But there's a lot, instead of aldehydes, there is aldehyde I believe, because there's a lot of rose here. But instead of aldehydes in Chanel number 5, this one uses incense and musk. It's very animalic, and not as in dirty, but depth. Very juicy, floral, musk. And no matter how long I speak about this fragrance, no words can describe the majestic presence of this fragrance. You have to buy or test this fragrance and see for yourself. And also be prepared for this fragrance to be used very infrequently. I have always struggled to find the right occasion to wear this fragrance, right? But cold weather is probably the best time to wear this, and I promised myself that I'll be wearing this a bit more. It is so strong and so rich and so powerful that I have to be in that mood, because this fragrance actually wears you. You have to be really up for it to wear this fragrance. But if you're a connoisseur, if you're looking for art in a bottle, don't look any further, because no other fragrance I can imagine be called gold and actually behave like this. It's a real monarch's fragrance, a kingly fragrance, honestly. So, Amouage Gold was the last fragrance in this video. There'll be many more videos in this series because I really have taken it personally that stuff that is really a masterpiece or really a work of art has to be preserved. We humans have always looked after at least some of our art. Some gets lost, but some is always there. And that's the reason I'm doing this video. And I'm hoping you really enjoyed this video. And if you did, do give it a like. Take care. Bye-bye.